takes two guys to run, one guy to run the combine and two to run the swather.
Combine people don't know where to go if it wasn't for the swath.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I saw it.
Don't get out. That's what I said.
Hello, welcome to KatesAg. Right now I'm doing the first unload of the day in Steve Wall's truck. And we've already had a little bit of a hectic day. I got out to the field a little bit late, but Trevor plugged the combine for the first time, so I'll have to ask him about that at lunch. I may have overfilled Steve Wall's truck in a little place, so it's probably going to be hard to put the tarp on, which is not the best. Right now, my dad just finished unloading in Steve Wall, and Trevor's unloading in our red truck. I think it's Darcy right there. But Trevor was talking about how he thought it would be kind of fun to plug the combine, so it'll be interesting to see whether he actually thinks it's fun now that he's done it. He didn't plug it very much, just very lightly. And this is really good wheat. I've almost plugged it at least 15, maybe 20 times, so I've just barely made it through and gotten lucky, so it's not like it's a tough scenario to plug it. Now my dad's taken this row. I'll take the one right here because these are all swathed back and forth. If you've watched my previous harvest videos, you know we typically swath our fields around and around and around. Although it's not the most fun for the swather to have to drive over the furrows, and my Uncle Chris did a lot of the swathing this year, so he decided that he was just going to swath back and forth. I've now started my next pass, and we're gonna definitely finish this field today, so we'll be on to the next. Hopefully, before Trevor and I have to leave, we'll get to barley, because barley, we cut it with the big headers, and that would be a super fun experience. Using the pickup headers is kind of monotonous after a while. You don't have to pay a ton of attention. I mean, you always have to watch, but there's a lot of room for error. I can drive over here and be totally good and then drive back. There's a lot of different things that can happen, and you're totally fine. Whereas in the straight cutting headers, if I drive this way and this way and this way, then the combine behind me has to follow all of those curves in the field because we're cutting it straight out of the field, and then it makes it even bigger for the next person to follow them. So then at some point, one combine has to straighten the passes out and lose some of the cutting room on their headers. So it's a difficult process. Now I'm here at lunch with Grandpa.
Yeah, they're lucky that I feed them lunch.
How do you think harvest's going so far?
Well, it's going pretty good. Seems like the swather guy can keep his swather going better.
That's a good thing. That's tough. With all the rocks.
It takes two guys to run, one guy to run the combine and two to run the swather. That's
Very funny. Do you want to say hi, Uncle Chris?
Combine people don't know where to go if it wasn't for the swath. They need a path, so we have to go make a path for them, so otherwise they get lost.
So you're saying you think swathing's the superior job for harvest?
Absolutely.
Well, I think the combine and swathers have a debate going on now.
I think we do.
And so my first day of harvest, you don't believe that's truly the first day because?
Because we spent a week making paths for you to follow. So you don't get lost. Otherwise, combine drivers are always lost if they don't have that little narrow path to follow around.
Very, very funny. My dad is right here. We're just waiting because we have no trucks at the field and our grain cart is full over here. So I've just finished my pass, and as you can see, my window is full on this side and also full on this side. We are all now currently waiting in the field. Darcy's truck just pulled in, so my dad's lining up with his grain auger out, and I'll put my auger out as well. So it took a little bit longer to get back from the bin. I'll rev it up in a bit here.
Steve is on his way out.
We might wait for Steve Wall though, or if he gets here before I start unloading, I'll unload in his truck first. Now I'm just pulling up to the truck. Looks pretty good to me. We fill the big semi-trucks front to back because you want to load them at their strongest points, which are the axles, and they have those in the front and the back, whereas tandems we fill back to front because it just has one axle in the back. I don't know, I might have been dumping wheat out. I guess I'll drive around to that side of the truck and see. It should be good though. So now I'll drive away from the truck before I put my auger back in.
Lucas, why don't you turn around and look the other way? Steve's going to be here pretty soon, so he'll just pull in and you can probably dump in him.
Looks like I did not dump on the ground at all, so that's a pretty good thing. Oh, I missed my row here. I thought it was this back pass one. Turtle speed, then rabbit. And now I'm back in the wheat swath. I can see Steve Wall's truck right now outside my right window. So our grain cart will unload into him, and then he might need a couple more combine dumps as well, and he'll be good to go on the road again. We try and fill him as soon as we can once he gets here. This is really good wheat, so every single pass I'm having to unload either in the truck or grain cart. Ask my dad, I guess we're unloading in the grain cart even though the truck's right here. I think my dad just wants to give our grain cart driver more practice. Oh!
Easy, Kate.
I didn't realize I was that full. Yikes. Oops. All the grain came pouring off me. So I'm going to stop very carefully. Back up a little bit more. I'm spilling grain left and right, which is terrible. I always talk about in my videos how it's like the worst thing to do. You spend all this time growing it just to lose it so simply after you spend the time picking it up as well.
You'll have to dump after the third combine dumps in you, Lucas.
We've got a harvest operation to the north of us, right here, my left, and also behind me to the west of us. Actually, I didn't get quite empty, so there we go. That's about empty. So I just turned it back on. Now I'll put my auger back. There's even a disc here too. We keep the disc by the field we're harvesting in as well in order to make sure we don't start a fire or anything. On my pass headed south, I noticed Trevor's combine was stopped, and then he called me and explained he got some sort of error. I can't even remember it now, but like 2 alarms, the whole combine shut off. So not just the header, but it just completely shut off.
The last run wasn't quite as good, Kate. You're not quite as full.
You're right, I'm not. Yeah, I am not quite as full this time. The last row I took was really, really heavy though. And so he couldn't even use the radio to speak with anyone. So we don't actually know what caused it to shut off, but I had him turn the back of the combine off and then the front off, like the header parts, and that enabled the combine to start again, because it won't start if your hydrostat or header is on. Anyway, I'm so glad we have it all figured out and it wasn't a big issue. I would have been very confused in that scenario as to why it wasn't working. I stopped a bit harder because I'm not quite as full. Now I'm done unloading grain and full throttle back to my next swath. Now I'm at my swath again, and I'll start everything back up and get going. So I was just combining along and I saw a feather in the wheat swath, so I'm gonna go out and get it. Very exciting. This is the first one I've seen of the year. The wheat swath is really small here, although it was super, super big just a second ago. Here's my combine. And then there Steve Wall's truck goes down the road. So here's the feather. I just saw a snake in my wheat swath, so I'm gonna go look at it. My dad's right here. I think he wants to look at it too. It's right down there. I can't believe it. He's over there. He's on this side. Maybe I'm gonna walk behind. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I saw it. Okay, I have to be very careful. This could be a scary moment. I don't see him right now. He was kind of greenish. That's so cool though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't see him. No way. Oh my goodness. So I wonder if it was a baby. It could have been a baby. Now I have to watch my footsteps just in case he came this way. I'll see if I can see him from up here. How have you been?
Well, okay.
Are you liking harvest so far?
Yeah, it's all right.
Not your favorite time of year though.
No.
That's seeding.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the snake in the wheat swath, Dad?
Don't get out. That's what I say.
I was super excited to see it though.
Yeah, but then when you got out, you couldn't see it, could you?
No, so that maybe wasn't a good plan.
No.
You stopped your combine as well though. Trevor, it's now dinner time. Are you excited?
Of course, we're rubbing.
How's it been in the combine?
It's been great. Long day though. Really
Yes,
long day.
Very long. We've got
Disassociating in there.
We've got a nice assortment here. The pie looks good. So you're getting your plate prepared. First the truck went by, and now the combine, so we're getting a big dust storm. Trevor made it on the roof of his combine. We are moving fields here soon, which is exciting. There's Trevor moving the combine, and then there's my dad, and we'll be headed to a different field here soon.
For the aesthetics.
Okay, I get that. Trevor wants an aesthetic photo. I just shifted into third. We're gonna start on the road. Put my hazards on. You're leaving me behind already, but I should catch up in no time. Here we go down the hill, and we're going to go all the way to the next field, and then we'll come back and get all of the trucks and things. I don't think we're going to start the next field tonight because it's already 8:30ish. We usually end at 9 p.m. Or try to get things shut down then, because by the time we get all the vehicles back to the houses, it's already 10 usually. Lucas, we're going to lose you.
Yeah, go with me, right?
So now we'll just keep roading until we get to the next field.
We're already on our way over there right now. Okay, we started at that first approach on the south. 3 rounds. Okay. You're behind us, right, Lucas?
You've got to pick up the pace a little bit. I can't even see you.
Lucas, you got a copy?
Okay, I can see him in my mirror now.
Lucas, you got a copy? You try him on your radio, okay?
Lucas, do you have a copy? Lucas, do you have a copy? I think he maybe turned his radio off.
Lucas, you got a copy?
He was getting pretty far back there for a minute, but he seems to be caught up. But then again, we're going really slow, so.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure he was back there, and I want everybody to be really careful going through this dip.
Now we've got the big hill coming up, which there's a hill sign for, but it's completely bent over because the big combine headers that go through here typically knock it down. And that's with a lot of signs in rural areas. They'll be knocked over, and the color you see on the sign is the color of machinery that knocked it over. So red, green, you kind of know the operation then. Hopefully this goes up it in third gear. Yeah, but it seems to be struggling for sure. We have a little ways to road the combines to get them to this next field. And it's through a few back roads and fields to get there. And we're not even going very fast. We're only going 20 miles per hour, and the combines are much more difficult to steer than that tractor on the road. Because the tractor, I mean, it's similar to a car, whereas the combines steer from the back, so they get really steery and tippy. Or not tippy, but they get very steery, so you have to control them easily. Trevor's even doing so well on the roads with the combines. Typically, you can tell a new combine driver by how they drive on the road because it's really difficult to drive them at a fast pace. But it's crazy because Trevor's doing such a good job. You'd never know. In fact, I think he is doing a better job than I am. First pass in a new field. This is always exciting. I'll turn my hazards off now. So this is not the field I was thinking of that we needed to go to. I'm going to drive around this end wheat swath and kind of start it at an angle, which isn't ideal, but you don't really want to drive over the wheat swaths if you can help it. So got my header started. Everything seems to be going smoothly. And then these are the only side rows we have, these 3 here. The rest are back and forth. The wheat looks really thick here. Let's see if I'm getting any readings for bushels per acre. I don't think I had my header down far enough. I was still picking up all the wheat though, so I'm good to go there. Wow, is it thick. I don't think it has maybe great heads on it. I don't know if I'm in far enough to get a good bushels per acre reading, but it's only saying 8 right now. That can't be true though. This does look really good. Might take a while for it to kind of set. I don't know for sure. I'm really having to slow down for this. The sunset is absolutely gorgeous today. We are now in the first pass of our new field, which is very exciting. We went west, then north, and now we're headed east, and then eventually we'll be headed south and finished with one complete task. This field was swathed, so it has 3 that go all the way around, and then it's back and forth passes. The sad part is that the bushels per acre is reading really low. I'm in a lot of places getting 0 or 1, 2. I think the most I got was like 16. My dad's getting low readings as well, but they're massive swaths. So I'm going through them at like 2 miles per hour, whereas the other field I was getting 70, 80 bushels per acre and going through them at 3 miles per hour. So that goes to show the size of the swath is not a direct indicator of how many bushels per acre you will get. It's all to do with the size of the head and how many grain kernels are in each of those heads. We will be ending for the day after this pass because it's very late. Trevor is doing an unload on the go right now, and I will do that soon as well because I'm filling up quite fast.
Darcy, why don't you drive down to this corner?
But I'll be the 3rd unload, so it will be difficult
Down at the corner.
one to do. I'm going to put the radio around my neck here because I'll probably have to talk quite a bit. Continue at my pace. Go forward, forward. Steer out just a bit. See my oldest on the far end.
Stop and load it.
There we go. This is the perfect distance away to be. Good job. That was the perfect distance.
Now go ahead and put that load in Darcy's truck.
And Darcy's truck is parked just up here. We are now going to load the combines to the summer fallow for the
And
night.
up to the right.
Trevor is just unloading his combine right now. We have now ended for the evening. We're all parking the combines and getting ready to shut them off and go for the evening. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, bye!